Hello, welcome back to today's video where we are going to have a quick chat about what to look for in a jiu-jitsu school, either when you're first starting jiu-jitsu or maybe you're transferring schools. There's a lot of things to think about, there's a lot of things to take note of, so we are just going to chat about all of the things to keep in mind, all of the things to look for when you are trying to find the perfect school for you to train at. Alright, so I think the first thing to look into before all of the smaller details of a school, I think the number one thing that you need to do a little bit of research on is finding a school that you feel you can commute to. A good commute time will vary from person to person, sort of based on where you live, how busy your city is, if you live in the middle of nowhere. So whatever commute time feels good to you, whatever commute time you feel like you can commit to, try to find a school within that time. My school, for example, is about 10 minutes away without traffic, 15 to 20 with heavy traffic, so it's really pretty close. But for me, that's what works, and I'm very lucky that my school is that close because all throughout the day, I'm kind of going back and forth with privates here, class here, kids class here. So for me, it wouldn't work if my school was 50 minutes, an hour away from my house. But for you, maybe you live in an area where things are a little bit farther apart from each other, so maybe an hour is no big deal. But just the main thing to keep in mind is whatever the commute is for you, knowing that it's something that you can commit to and it's something that you can do a couple times a week. You know, you just don't want to sign up for a school and maybe it's 50 minutes away from where you live, but you're so excited for jiu-jitsu and you're gonna go every day and you don't care how long you have to travel for it. And then when real life kicks in and you've got to go to work every day and you've got kids and you've got a house to maintain or whatever you got going on, and then that 50-minute extra commute to jiu-jitsu at 6 o'clock at night comes and you're like, oh man, you know, I'll just go tomorrow. That commute is just way too long. And then tomorrow comes, the next day comes, the next day comes, and you just find yourself not getting to the gym because it's too long of a drive, it's too long of a train ride. You don't want that to happen. So just try to find a place that you feel comfortable getting to a couple times a week. The next thing that I would say is one of the most important things to take a look into before you even go to visit the school is to see what the school's schedule is like. Go online, maybe they have the schedule online, maybe give the school a call and see if they can send you the schedule, but you want to make sure that they have classes at times that you can actually attend. The school can be the most amazing place in the whole wide world, but if they have classes only at 6 p.m. and 6 p.m. is when you're still on your way home from work, that's not going to work for you. I know it's not always possible, again, depending on the area that you live in, depending on how small or how big the school is, but I would try to look for a place that has different class options throughout the day. My school, for example, we are so fortunate. We have a 6 a.m., we have 12 p.m., we have the kids classes in the evening, and then the adult classes start at 6 p.m. and go until 8:30. We have Saturday classes, we have Sunday classes, so we have something pretty much for everyone. We have plenty of options. Try to imagine what days you see yourself going to the gym and what times you can make it during those days and see if they have class times at that time that works for you. You want to make sure that you can make it there in general, and you want to make sure that you can make it there on time. So you found a school where you can commit to the commute, you found a school that has a schedule that works for you. Now what? Now you want to make sure that it's run by a reputable person. All right, so situations may vary with what I'm about to say, so keep that in mind. It could be different from school to school and what area you're from, but I would try to find a school where the head instructor is a black belt. Jiu-jitsu is a long process, and getting your black belt is no easy task. It takes so much hard work, dedication, and overcoming obstacles to finally reach that point of black belt. And to be quite honest, not everyone can teach. So just because you're a higher rank, purple, brown, black, doesn't necessarily mean that you have the great qualities it takes to be a teacher of jiu-jitsu. But you know, for the most part, someone who's running a school, someone who is a black belt running the school probably knows what he's doing and he probably knows how to teach it. And the reason I said that this can kind of vary from situation to situation is because sometimes maybe in smaller areas or smaller schools, the head instructor might be a brown belt. And to be honest, brown belts, they're right under black belt. They're one step away. And a lot of times brown belts start teaching adult classes anyway. But in my opinion, I just think the leader of the pack should be a black belt. And maybe some of you are watching this video and your head instructor is a brown belt. Maybe you're from a really small school and your head instructor is a purple belt. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure you're learning great jujitsu. This is just my personal opinion. So now, aside from the head instructor's rank, you want to start looking at who the head instructor is. You want to start getting an idea of what his or her reputation is. Do they have any kind of presence in the jiu-jitsu community? Do people know his or her name? Are they or were they at some point frequent competitors? Do a quick Google search. You can find anything through the internet. Try to do some digging. Try to find out what people have to say about the head instructor. It is so important that the person who is leading you in your jiu-jitsu journey is someone that you are proud to be under. And you know, I don't really want to go down this road, but I do just have to briefly mention it. As wonderful and as amazing as jiu-jitsu is, there are some not so great people. And a lot of times those not so great people are people that are in power, aka the black belt instructor. So along with finding out the reputation of the head instructor, you want to make sure that there's no funny business going around. You want to make sure that they were not involved in anything kind of sketchy, sexual harassment, especially as a woman joining jiu-jitsu for the first time. This is just something, quite frankly, you have to think about, especially with a lot of recent events that have gone down in the jiu-jitsu community and things that have been coming out from underneath the rug about head instructors and different school affiliations. This is just something that unfortunately we have to keep in mind when we're joining a school and when we are starting our journey under an instructor. We just want to be as safe as possible, right? So if you need any help with researching a school, or maybe you've never heard of the head instructor, you have no idea who this person is, you can always feel free to reach out to me and I can try to help you with it as best as I can. So now that you've kind of conquered all of the prereqs of finding the perfect school for you, you can commute to it easily. There is a schedule that works for you. The head instructor is incredible. He or she has a great reputation. Now maybe it's time to take a trial class, visit the school, and see what it's all about. So what are some things to look out for when you visit the school? I would say the size doesn't really matter. Bigger schools are great. Smaller schools are just as great. So if you walk into a school and, you know, it's not that big, don't be alarmed. That doesn't mean that the instruction is bad. It doesn't mean that the people there aren't wonderful. It just means that they're in a smaller space. But what you do want to look out for as soon as you walk in the door is you want to get this feeling that the place is clean. Look, I mean, jiu-jitsu is freaking disgusting. So we want to try to just stay as clean as possible. So, you know, if you feel like you're walking onto the mat and you feel like you're walking into a cesspool, that's probably not the school that you want to train at. But if the mats look clean, the place smells clean when there's not classes going on and people aren't sweating everywhere, so far you're off to a good start. Ideally, you want to make sure that there is a men's and women's locker room. You want to make sure that the locker room is clean, that it's organized. You want to make sure that the bathrooms are clean. You know, I've definitely been to schools where it's really kind of grossed me out going to the bathroom. I've been to schools where the shower is so gross and I didn't even want to shower after class. I just wanted to go right home and shower. I've been to schools where there wasn't a separate changing room for men and women. And you know, maybe you're more laid back, maybe you don't care about that kind of thing. But for me, I don't know, I care about that kind of thing. So you just want to make sure that everything is clean. All right, so now if all is good, the school is the cleanest place that you've ever seen, and now you're ready to start training in your first trial class, see what the vibe is of the people that are training. Are people friendly? Everybody in the gym notices the new person. Everybody trains with the same people all the time, so they're gonna know if you're new. If people aren't friendly, if people aren't welcoming you to the school, if people aren't openly maybe including you in their training, that's not a good sign. If the head instructor, if the assistant instructor, if they're not friendly, that's not a good sign. Also take into account the kind of people that are training. Is there a wide variety of people that are there? Is it a diverse environment? Are people of all ages there? Are both men and women there? Now look, if there's not 30 women in the class, don't be alarmed, that never happens. But you want to see maybe hopefully hopefully there's a couple women in the class, and if there aren't on that particular day, that is absolutely something that you should ask the head instructor or the person at the front desk. One, if there's a women's program, or if there is a good group of women that regularly attend the classes. You want to see if there are people of all ages. You want to see if there are people in various weight classes, small people, medium people, bigger people. For me, it's important to have a wide variety of training partners. Now, when it comes to the actual training, what is the style of the class? Is the instruction super detailed? Is the head instructor inclusive of everyone? Do they go around to each and every person and help them throughout the drilling portion of the class? I never quite realized how important this was until I started training at the school that I currently train at. At my first school, the head instructor did go around and make sure that everybody was doing it right, but he definitely was not as detail oriented as my head instructor now. And he goes around to every single person multiple times and fixes the tiniest little details every single time you train. I remember the first trial class that I did at my current school, the main thing that I noticed was one, how many different kinds of people were on the mats, and two, how attentive the head instructor was to every single person. Going into the new school and trying out a class, you know, the head instructor didn't know me, he didn't know my friend that came with me, so I didn't really expect him to pay as much attention as he did, and it really took me by surprise. It was really nice. So that's definitely something you want to keep an eye on too. And then kind of going along with feeling out the vibe of the school is you want to inquire about whether the school is more competition focused or whether it's more hobbyist focused, or maybe a mix between the two. If you're starting jiu-jitsu with the idea of one day becoming an avid competitor, you want to make sure that the instructor is a competitor himself or herself, or maybe used to be an avid competitor. You want to find out maybe if there's a competition team, if there's competition classes. You know, competing is a big thing, and if it's something that's important to you, you want to make sure that it's also important to the school that you're going to be training at. If you're a mom, if you're a dad, and you've got multiple kids, find out if there's a kids program. If you have a family, find out if the school is family oriented. At my school, the head instructor and his wife, they have 2 kids, and they sometimes leave out toys for kids to play with while the adults are taking class. If there's a mom or a dad in class and they leave their kid in the front, that's totally fine, and it's not seen as a problem or any kind of issue. So overall, you just kind of want to find out what the environment is like. Is the environment one that you can see yourself fitting into? There's been schools that I've trained at where I love training at, and there's really tough training partners for me there, but the overall vibe of the school is just not something that I felt like I could fit into, and that's totally fine. But it is something that you want to make sure of before you sign up for the school and before you commit to the school. So I think I covered most of the major things to look out for when you're looking for a jiu-jitsu school: the commute, the schedule, the instructor's reputation, their belt rank, their lineage maybe, their affiliation, their overall reputation, the cleanliness of the school, and just the overall vibe of the environment of the school. Is it diverse? Are there all different kinds of people on the mat? Are there men and women? Are there people of all ages? Are there people of multiple belt ranks? Can you see people from white belt all the way to brown and black belt? That shows that people are committed to the school. It shows that the instruction is great no matter what belt rank you are. Overall, you just want to make sure that it's an environment that you can see yourself in every day. I hope that you find the most amazing jiu-jitsu school to train at. I hope that you find a jiu-jitsu school that you are proud to be from. And if you have any other questions along this topic, always feel free to reach out to me. You can DM me, you can email me. I'm always here to help as best as I can. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps out my channel and its growth. I really appreciate every single one of you who has already subscribed. And until the next video, I will see you guys next time.